God has every right to punish sin. God says, I will have mercy upon whom I will have mercy, and whom I will harden. Of course he does, because he is the God who will give to us. If we want mercy, God will give us mercy. If we harden our hearts, God will further harden our hearts. Now let's give another illustration here. Begin in verse 19, and this is one that has caused many people to have difficulty. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who has resisted his will? If God is sovereign, we're just victims. There's nothing we can do about it. Notice verse 20. But, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say unto him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he hath afore prepared unto glory? Nothing you do about it. Is that the kind of a God that is displayed in the Bible or in the book of Romans? Listen carefully, folks, and understand what the Apostle Paul is saying here. God did not ordain some for hell. What potter would ever make a vessel just so he could destroy it? God did not ordain some people to hell. No. Listen. The reason that some vessels were destroyed is they did not realize the purpose of the potter. Look in verse 20, if you will, of this same chapter. Shall the thing formed say unto him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? It doesn't say the thing created, but the thing formed. Here God is shaping, and some will not take the shaping. Look in verse 22. What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath? God, it was long suffering. God is forming, working, forming, but these vessels of wrath are not yielding to the hands of the potter. Put down this verse, 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promises. Some men count slackness, but is long-suffering. Same word that's used over here in Romans 9. Is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But you say, Pastor, it says here that they were fitted for destruction. Look at this verse again, and he talks about some vessels of wrath fitted to destruction in verse 22. But now listen carefully. The middle voice indicates that the vessels of wrath fitted themselves for destruction. It is not the potter who fits them for destruction. They fitted themselves for destruction. The potter was long-suffering. He did not create them, he formed them. But they were fitted, that is, they made themselves fit for destruction. God does not create people in order to damn them. God does not create people in order to destroy them. God is a God of love. Now, if you think that God wants some to go to hell, just listen to this scripture. It speaks of God who will have all men to be saved and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. Now, you can harden your heart. The Bible warns against people being hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. Put this verse down, Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15. Today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your heart. I'm telling you, if you harden your heart against God, you will crystallize in your sin, and God's judgment upon you will even harden your heart even more. But God hardened Pharaoh's heart after Pharaoh first hardened his own heart against the Lord. And God destroyed Pharaoh. Yes, he did. Because in the long suffering of God and the warnings that God sent to Pharaoh, Pharaoh would not accept those warnings. And yes, indeed, he was made an example of God's wrath.
All right, we had to make a little slap at Calvinism to get the show started, and you know, I hope you all appreciate it. Thank you for coming to hang out with us. That means that you had nothing to do this evening, and we really appreciate that, Robin. Thank you for not having a life. It makes us feel better about ourselves.
We're in great company. So, and it took me getting my back out so I'd have time to be with my brother. So that's awesome.
How are you feeling, Dan?
Better. I went to the chiropractor on Monday, and I'm going to go back today, so I can actually walk better. Still kind of painful, but and I wish I was like, you know, lifting up a tree or something, but I drove to about 20-minute drive and 20-minute back, and it threw my back out. So
So, the moral
Are
of the
you,
story, everybody, is that if you don't come and hang out with us on these Job studies, God will cripple you. Ask Dan.
that's why I'm here.
now you know.
And poor Robin, she's like, I'm just glad I showed up.
Hi, Robin.
Oh, mercy. So yeah, this is going right into Job. So hopefully you can glean from this, Dan, and realize that your struggles you're going through right now with your back is probably helping you in some way that you're not aware of yet.
Oh, I'm actually, because you guys have known, I've even skipped my show sometimes because I've been working 7 days a week, and it's like, even that I was having that conversation, especially with after hearing my friends who like, no, it's not, it's not law, but God rested, you might as well too, and so yeah, I think so. Now I've rested 5 days. God has a way of, and, and again, it's not punishment to me. It's like, dude, He knows our bodies. He knows the design, and we shouldn't be overdoing. And I did it.
Yeah, you definitely that day off is important, Dan. You guys can call it whatever you want and do it whatever day you feel led to do it, but we need that day to recoup and let our bodies heal. Unless you're
Amen
Achilles.
on that.
Achilles is a beast and he can just keep going.
Yeah, at some point he's gonna have what Dan had, and he's gonna change his mind too.
Yeah, and you guys be sure to go over on Maud's channel and check out her show from today. You had
What?
Achilles going face to face with Free to Play, and it got pretty good.
I was short. I don't think. You should go and enjoy the show of Mod, but at some point, yeah. And it's very hard to have somebody that interrupts you like that all the time. And when you are somebody like me who is translating what they want to say in their head before they say it, I can't ever get to my point with somebody that interrupts all the time. It's so frustrating. I think he was put in his spot, but I could have done better. When I looked at it later, I see how slow I am, but I don't see it at that moment when I'm
Well,
experiencing it.
your mind's still going a mile a minute. It's just the
Yeah,
translation doesn't.
yeah. uh, I translate what I hear, and then I translate what I want to say, and it takes a bit of time. And by the time I do that, the other party just interrupts, won't let the translation go through.
I would like to help with the translating Achilles. I don't think I can bring anything to the table because I don't know any other languages, but I do want to take some of the credit.
The thing is that if somebody just is respectful, that's all it takes, you know. And not I, a lot of people are. I'm not. I'm not saying they're not, but this guy was annoying. he just was probably very scared of the answers, so he had to interrupt before they come out, I guess. And then he jumped to Mars.
Well,
Oh, so anyway, Job.
well, alrighty.
So I think we're going to be on Job 31. We're getting closer to
Thank you, Rob.
God coming and rebuking Job, and that's really the fun part of the book. And then we get to see all his blessings restored in tenfold.
Boom, boom.
All right. I think we're on 31, brother.
Are you sure? I think we did 31, but let's go 31 and see. We will know.
Then you might be right, and I may have just mislabeled it last week.
Okay, wait. Let's. So what does the title say? Okay, so
I think you might be right.
all right, let's start here for context, because the next one is a response to this. So let's start here.
Okay. I have made a covenant with my eyes. How then could I look at a virgin? And what is the portion of God from above, or the inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is it not disaster to the criminal, and misfortune to those who practice injustice? Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I've walked with deception, and my foot has hurried after deceit, let him weigh me with accurate scales, and let God know my integrity. If my step has turned from the way, or my heart followed my eyes, or if any spot has struck to my hands, let me sow and another eat, and let my crops be uprooted. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or if I have lurked at my neighbor's doorway, may my wife grind grain for another, and let others kneel down over her. For that would be a lustful crime. Moreover, it would be wrongdoing punishable by judges, for it would be fire that consumes to Abaddon, and would uproot all my increase. If I have rejected the claim of my male or female slaves when they have filed a complaint against me, what then could I do when God arises? And when he calls me to account, how am I to answer him? Did he who made me in the womb not make him, and the same one create us in the womb? If I have kept the poor from their desire, or have caused the eye of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel alone, and the orphan has not shared it, but from my mouth he grew up
Youth.
with me. What? But
Youth.
from my youth he grew up with me as with a father, and from my infancy I guided her. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or that the needy had no covering, if his waist has not thanked me, and if he has not been warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the orphan, because I saw I had support in the gate, may my shoulder fall from its socket, and may my arm be broken off at the elbow. For disaster from God is a terror to me, and because of his majesty I can do nothing. If I have put my confidence in gold, and called fine gold my trust, if I have gloated because my wealth was great, and because my hand had obtained so much, if I have looked at the sun when it shone, or the moon going in splendor, and my heart was secretly enticed, and my hand threw a kiss from my mouth, that too would have been guilty deed calling for judgment. For I would have denied God above. Have I rejoiced at the misfortune of my enemy, or become excited when evil found him? No, I have not allowed my mouth to sin by asking for his life and a curse. Have the people of my tent not said, who can find one who has not been satisfied with his meat? The stranger has not spent the night outside, for I have opened up my doors to the traveler. Have I covered my wrongdoings like a man by hiding my guilt in my shirt pocket? Because I feared the great multitude, and the contempt of families terrified me, and I kept silent and did not go out of doors. Oh, that I had one to hear me. Here is my signature. Let the Almighty answer me. In the indictment which my adversary has written, I would certainly carry it on my shoulder. I would tie it to myself like a garland. I would declare to him the number of my steps. Like a prince, I would approach him. If my land cries out against me, and its furrows weep together, if I have eaten its fruit without money, or have caused its owners to lose their lives, may the thorn bush grow instead of wheat, and stinkweed instead of barley. The words of Job are ended.
So no, we hadn't read this. We stopped at 30.
I think you're right. Yeah, this was new stuff.
Very interesting. So I don't think I don't have something to say. Anybody else has? Hello, BBM.
Well, it's interesting because he's definitely laying out all the reasons why God considered him to be, his favorite servant at this point in time. Because he's doing all the things he's supposed to. He's not taking advantage of the widows, either financially or in a physical manner. He's caring for the poor. He's caring for the alien or the traveler. He's doing all the things that a Christian ought to do. So it would make sense that God would consider him in such a favorable way, right?
Right.
And I'm sure for Job, this is a big issue that's leading to his pride, because look at this list that he just laid out. I'm right in these areas. Boom, 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 boom.
Very well said. I don't have anything to add, just because that's exactly it. These are the attributes that you should have. So nobody's saying Job was not righteous, but as you said, these are the reasons why some pride was hiding there under the rag, because he knew all that about himself. And although now this is our, 8th episode, or something like that, we don't see his. We've seen some signs earlier of a little bit of hidden pride, which his friend trying to show him. And although we don't see it here, it's in the previous chapters. But it's not very easy. You have to put yourself in the situation and listen up, read well, word by word, to understand how come this came as a response to that, and that's how you start seeing it.
I think there's... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's not something that is very obvious, because a lot of people would have picked it up. But only those that actually read it so they can study it and understand pick it up.
Well, and God does weigh the heart. So even if you're doing good deeds, God knows whether you're doing it for him or for your love of your fellow brother or because you like credit. And I think here, and you have it right up on the screen here, Achilles, 34 and 35, but especially 34, this is a good indicator that he was doing it based off of pride and not off of just fearing the Lord. He's going over this long list of things that he's done right, and then he has this, the Freudian slip, and 34 we see it, because not I feared God, but because I feared the great multitude, and the contempt of families terrified me. So he's telling you, I did this because of people observing me. And how is that not going to lead us into pride?
Very good point. And it reminds me of the previous time that happened, which you again pointed out. how he says that, is this my reward, what I receive for being righteous? So the fact that he was looking for a reward shows that the action was not because they had to be the actions out of fear of God or out of true um, loving of neighbors, but about the reward that he would be receiving for it. So it's not easy to pick it up, as you saw right now with what Stephen pointed out. This is a Freudian slip. So good call. Nice eyes.
Excellent.
Yep.
Anything to add to that, Dan? Dan's going to war in the comment sections, I can see.
No, I'm having fun. No, it's right on, because we know nobody through history is righteous in their own selves, and here he is actually showing that. And we know that only those that call on the name of the Lord are saved, made righteous, all that good stuff.
BBM, it's not the same. For Jung, maybe they were the same, and he does speak of archetypes and how they are in a lot of mythologies. But the stories of the Bible are of different people, and they all carry messages. If you are honest in what you are relating the Bible to, then you would see that it is not the same. It never talks about the deification of man that starts with a different archetype. The first one from Jung, I think, was called the trickster, and it was the hero that didn't know he was a hero yet, and then he evolves and becomes a hero. So yes, we see that in a lot of mythologies. He did a great work. He's my favorite psychiatrist. I never liked Freud.
If I could,
Yeah,
I'd
but
like
it's
to
not the
offer
Bible. Yeah,
I'd like to offer Big Bad Mama the contrast also. So, in a lot of these myths, you have someone who starts off very ordinary, and then through trials and journeys, the ultimate ending of the story is that he achieves this godlike heroic status. He
right.
finally becomes what he is. The difference with Christianity is that you start off with God, there's nothing above it, and he humbles himself to come and lower himself to manhood. So it's the total opposite. Instead of a vulnerable nobody becoming the hero, in Christianity, we see the hero taking off his crown and humbling himself to that average everyday Joe just to come save us. You show me another religion that has that narrative.
Well, and then too, added to that all these hero journeys, and even with the heroes of the faith, shows they're not nice people. Um, they're just normal people, which is not nice. They have all the frailties, you know. Then even down to the point that in the resurrection, they had women as the ones testifying, which you wouldn't have done in that culture in that day. So
Mm.
just so many things. There's parallels all over the place. But parallels, and you know doesn't mean that one's not the truth. And going through it, you can see why the Bible is so much more above other writings.
To add to that, to what you both said, the reason we call Mary Theotokos, from the Greek word Theotokos. Theotokos means God bearer. You know that. The reason that happened is not what people today want to think it is. It has nothing to do with Mary, BBM. We call her Theotokos not because of her, but because there were this influence of all the other paganistic and mythological stories that existed, that somebody can be born a man and achieve divinity and become God. So the term Theotokos was coined at the 1st to 2nd century to make a distinction that Jesus was born a god. He did not become a god. So with that little rabbit hole that we went in, I think we gave you enough reasons to see that what you said is not accurate. The Bible, although you have the right to call it mythology if you don't believe, it does not compare to any mythological story or epic poem that existed before or after it. It's the complete opposite. And that is a good indication, the Theotokos name. Jesus brought himself down for us. He didn't, although there are theories, for those that don't read the Bible, there are many books. One of them I've read was Lorber, I think was his name, the 9 faces of Christ, that are talking about all the time where Jesus was when we lost him. And he is describing that he went to other cultures and he learned this and he learned that, and that's why he became. Those are not biblical. That is not what the Bible says. But they have become like some narrative that people would rather read that instead of opening up the Bible and read it. So it ain't the case. It is not comparable to anything else. If you go to the Epic of Gilgamesh, you see deification of a man becoming a god. If you go to Greek mythology, something similar in every story. So there, Jung is right. But I don't think he ever mentioned the Bible about it to begin with. So.
And again, the rejection of the Bible, the rejection of the spiritual realm, can be pointed in the fact that if you do acknowledge it, you've got to acknowledge that there is right or wrong, a lawgiver, and those who cannot keep that law, good and evil. And so it's very hard, in the same pride that Job seems to be having, that he didn't need God, that he was good enough in himself, and that's
Good
the
point.
pride.
Good point. Very good point. Never thought of that,
Acknowledge, yeah,
but it is true.
acknowledging one's condition, and as Jesus said, the somebody who doesn't think they need a doctor won't go
Right.
to the doctor. And if you think you're all that, if you think even there is a God, you don't need him because, hey, you're just as good as him. And that goes right back to Satan, who that was his problem. He wanted to be godlike, and didn't work out for him.
So, in a sense, to put it in different words, what you said, Job had his own righteousness. He didn't feel like he needs a doctor. He was doing fine according to his eyes. So, aren't we all like that? Or at least weren't we all?
Well, and I think Job was calling on God, but even in our lives, where even after and this is where Christians, people don't understand the whole thing that, yeah, I'm saved doesn't mean I'm going to stay perfect. And if I'm saved and I get, whoa, I'm pretty good, we can also, even though we're a child of God, through the salvation, through believing in Jesus Christ, living, dying, and resurrecting for us, and just knowing that we can still stray, going, all right. And I know in my own life where it's like, I know God, you're God, I'm not, but I'll take this one. I'll take the reins. You can go take a nap. You can deal with Achilles because he needs your help more than I do. that kind of pride that even a Christian can have. So, not saying that Job was not, a child of God, but with these statements, he was pretty well coasting, pretty well coasting that, man, I'm not living like those people. And that's a big mistake, pride, and that's why God hates pride so much.
Well, it's a good symbolic story too, because you have Job doing all the right things, but for the wrong purpose. He's doing it for how the community sees him instead of how God looks at him. And as a result of that, he left himself vulnerable to this sifting.
Right. One thing that I have in my mind that I would like to share with BBM and Robin is that I put myself in the shoes of people that are out there in the comments and saying what they are, their opinion, which Robin gave us hers, and we responded, me and you, Stephen, right now. And I'm putting myself in their shoes, and seeing this channel and ourselves from their perspective. So, what brought to my mind to tell them is that um, I didn't go to study Job because my logic told me that there has to be um, God died and resurrected for me, and so let me go and read. It's not that I arrived there logically, but something I started really questioning it at some point, saying that's the narrative, and I'm taking it for a joke. Is there any chance that God is so powerful that and so loving that he could have done that? And that started the whole thing. It's not like I found Christianity because it was convenient to make me feel better about my life. It's more like Christianity found me when I started really questioning it, questioning the narrative that these are fairy tales. And when I did, and I told myself that, yeah, I believe it could be the case. I wasn't there 2000 years ago to know what happened, but there are indications that it could have happened. There was this verse that says, believe that in your heart and confess it with your mouth, and you will be saved. So I started transforming, and a transformation that I call my previous self completely dead. I was actually out last weekend, and I met this girl from my past, and she's like, how have you been? I'm like, who is the you are referring to? Because the guy that you knew is no longer with us. She's like, what happened? What do you mean? I'm like, he's not here. I've taken his place. So it's so just throwing that out there, because I understand that from your perspective, you look at us like we are some people that chose to believe this instead of believing in, I don't know, Greek theology of Zeus and Athena. We all get our choices. It doesn't work like that, because there is a truth, and the truth is alive and is listening to your thoughts. And if your thoughts are those that have been predicted, a novel prediction, as Dan says, and they align with that, then the promise is going to happen with you as well. So that's what we're trying to do, make you understand that nobody convinced us into it. We were alone with our mirrors when we started questioning the narratives that we get about a lot of things. And we challenge you to do the same. So when you do, and when it happens, I'm pretty sure you ain't gonna start with reading Job as we're doing right now. But you know, the more we read, the more we learn, the more we understand. The reborn individual starts having love for the gospel. they start loving it. They start wanting to know more and more and more. And that's why today we're on Job. Next week we will do Minor Prophets. Not every week is going to be on salvation, but we have the subscribers that are unbelievers, but we also have subscribers that are believers, and they don't want to hear the same thing all the time. We've heard a lot of good comments about the Job study, and we gotta look, to satisfy everybody. So, somebody take the mic from me, guys.
Well, if you want, we can go ahead and go up to Job 33.
Two. I've already skipped. Yeah. No. Yes. You. What?
I think we skipped 31 somehow.
Oh no, wait. It says 32 up here, but it's still 31 down there. So I don't know why, but now we're going to 32. Okay. All right.
This makes
I
more sense.
got confused. Yeah. Right.
All right. Then these three men stopped answering Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. But the anger of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, burned against Job. His anger burned because he justified himself before God, and his anger burned against his three friends because they had found no answer, yet they had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were years older than he. But when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of the three men, his anger burned. So Elihu, the son of Barachel the Buzite, spoke out and said,
We're gonna read what he said right now because I was in the chat. All right, yeah, let's go.
I am young in years, and you are old. Therefore I was shy and afraid to tell you what I think. I thought age should speak, and increased years should teach wisdom. But it is a spirit that is in mankind, and the breath of the Almighty gives them understanding. The abundant in years may not be wise, nor may elders understand justice. So I say, listen to me. I too will tell what I think. Behold, I waited for your words, I listened to your skillful speech, while you pondered what to say. I also paid close attention to you, but indeed there was no one who refuted Job, not one of you who answered his words. So do not say, we have found wisdom. God will defeat him, not man. But he has not presented his words against me, nor will I repay him with your arguments. They are reply to him with your arguments. They are dismayed. They no longer answer. Words have failed them. Should I wait because they are not speaking? Because they have stopped and no longer answer? I too will give my share of answers. I also will tell my opinion, for I am full of words. The spirit within me compels me. Behold, my belly is like unvented wine. Like new wineskins, it is about to burst. Let me speak so that I may get relief. Let me open my lips and answer. Let me be partial to no one, nor flatter any man, for I do not know how to flatter. Otherwise, my Maker would quickly take me away. So get to it, bro.
Ooh, powerful.
I mean, basically, this is the Christian version of hold my beer.
Yeah. And he's not rebuking Job yet, but he rebuked his friends. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Started by rebuking the friends and then let Job know, hey, man, I've been listening, and I've got quite a bit to say now.
and it ain't mine either. It's the spirit that is burning my body to say these words that are coming, which is like an unvented wine. That's it. Also interesting for another reason. There are some people out there, pastors, that say that they didn't. Wine was not alcoholic back then. Well, this guy just proved to us that they knew what alcoholic wine was, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's get to those words.
Let's see what Elihu has to say.
By the way, I never thought it was 4 friends. I was always told it was 3 friends.
I think it is 3 friends, but when he referenced 3 friends, I think he was including Job in his friend circle. Like, he says none of you said anything bad about Job, but I think he's also saying, Job, you didn't say anything bad about yourself.
Okay, no. I mean, every time I heard something from pastor or from somebody about the book of Job, it was always about 3 friends, and now we're getting a 4th friend.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if it's 4 men in total. So there's 3.
You're breaking up. You are
Friend
roboting.
circle.
Oh, we didn't hear anything. Start again.
Oh, it's irrelevant. It's all right. There's either 3 or 4 men here.
All right. So this is Elihu. Anywho. Elihu. All right. Elihu. Okay.
So Elihu claims to speak for God. However, please hear my speech, Job, and listen to all my words. Behold, now I open my mouth. My tongue in my mouth speaks. My words are from the integrity of my heart, and my lips speak knowledge sincerely. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Refute me if you can. Line up against me, take your stand.
Ooh.
Behold, I belong to God, like you. I too have been formed out of the clay. Behold, no fear of me should terrify you, nor should my pressure weigh heavily on you. You have in fact spoken while I listened, and I heard the sound of your words. I am pure without wrongdoing. I am innocent, and there is no guilt in me. Behold, he invents criticisms against me. He counts me as his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks. He watches all my paths. To you, you are not right in this. For God is
Read
great.
12 again. You cut out.
Behold, let me respond to you. You are not right in this. For God is greater than kind. Why do you
Greater than mankind.
Yep.
You're breaking up. I don't know what's going on with your Tesla, but for God is greater than mankind. So here, when he says, I'll give you a minute until your internet gets better. Right here, where he says, I want to reiterate and repeat this. You have in fact spoken while I listened. You see? Welcome back.
Yes. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yeah. So this friend now tells Job that you have in fact spoken while I listened, and I heard the sound of your words. So now 9 is Job's words, and we can add some color to it. Oh, I'm pure, without wrongdoing. I am innocent, and there is no guilt in me. Behold, he, God, invents criticisms against me. He counts me as his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks. He watches all my paths. Behold. No. And then 12 comes back to himself here and says, Behold, let me respond to you. You are not right in this, for God is greater than mankind. And he continues. So you see the way he, all these that we have been pointing out, the text has been pointing out through the mouths of his friends, how they are well summed up, that he has been rebellious in his speech. He was accusing God. I can't find accusation in me, therefore, he was accusing God. And this friend picked it up.
Yeah, because this is the only friend who's been quiet the whole time and listening and taking it all in.
You are sounding like ChatGPT.
I'm gonna have to sit the rest of this one out then, probably.
Come back, brother. Come back to a disconnect if you can hear me.
I'm hearing him okay. Chat. Uh-oh.
Dan, are you trying to speak?
Uh-oh. I was hearing him okay.
You are muted, Dan.
I unmuted. What happened? I'm not muted. Maybe it was Achilles because I heard. Okay, he's back. Oh, he's gone. Hello?
So where's Achilles?
I don't know. He said he couldn't hear me, and then he took off. I was hearing you fine. Chat, were you hearing?
I wonder if it was Achilles who was breaking up.
Yeah, but he sounded fine to me too. I don't know. That's a cute little bell we have now.
Are we back here? What is going on?
Yeah, welcome back, Achilles.
I mean, I understand why you guys might be having issues because you are on Wi-Fi. I'm not. I'm hardline. So if we have one having an issue, then the second one having an issue, then the third one who is hardlined having an issue, then it's all you, Eve Max. It ain't us.
Yeah, EV Mux, quit giving us new features that you can't even support. But we love you.
We love you, but still fix that. It's not our problem. All right.
And to answer Big Bad Mama, probably not. We don't mind reviewing other Christian sects, and we'll even incorporate Mormons in that category and Jehovah's Witnesses, but I really have. I'll even do apologetics with Muslims, but I have no desire to get into all the Teo and Hinduism and all of that.
Taoism? Are you kidding me? I ain't gonna read Taoism.
I mean, I can give you the gist of it. It's all about yourself.
It's the religion that says that if you are a good citizen, you go to heaven. Pretty much. Just be obedient. Be obedient to the government, and you'll be going to heaven.
Hey, that's the same mentality that Job had, and it didn't work out for him. Look at how good I am.
Yeah, I would always stop at the thing of, that any spiritual or religious thought that leaves out a creator, leaves out the intelligent designer, I'll pass on it because that is more closer to atheism, that everything came about by material means, and then they're the same way, is that without a god things can't happen without a creator designer. So to me it doesn't make too much sense.
Or then it is, let's say it's far from atheism, let's say it believes in something, but it is still yet another religion of works. While Christianity is a religion of sacrifice, and not, as we're reading the book of Job, it's not your works that matter. It is the grace of God. So in that, you will not find another religion comparing to the Bible.
And that is a perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, and here we're reading from the Old Testament, the book of Job, that nobody even knows how old it is. And this is what we see, that it is not his works that make a difference to the eyes of God.
No, exactly. And that's where, we can say, because, they'll say, oh yeah, Hitler was a Christian. This was a Christian. My dog's chicken bone was was Christian. But, it's those who believe the difference. Christians believe we can do nothing to gain heaven or God. And true Christianity says that God reaches down across the divide to make us his, to have a relationship. And that's the biggest thing. Works over, God's grace.
Absolutely.
Amen. And I'm getting out of the chat. I want to let you guys know in the chat that when the text is scrolling here, I can't respond to anything you might be saying in the chat because I'm the scroller of the team. So Steven is the reader, Dan is the listener, I'm the scroller. So ready to scroll past 12 whenever you are.
All different bodies of Christ, Achilles, and this is evidence. We work together.
Amen.
All right, so we'll pick up on 13. Do you want to go ahead and scroll up a little?
Yeah.
Why do you complain to him that he does not give an account of all his doings? Indeed, God speaks once or twice, yet no one notices it. In a dream, a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people, while they slumber in their beds, then he opens the ears of people and horrifies them with his warnings, so that he may turn a person away from bad conduct and keep a man from pride. Oh, Achilles, mic drop on the end of 17.
Yeah. And interesting how God does that. He speaks to us through dreams, opens while we slumber in our beds. Very interesting.
Yep, absolutely. And it's interesting, 17, so that he may turn a person away from bad conduct. So Job was doing all the right things, but for the wrong reason, and that was not the right conduct. That was the wrong heart position. He was doing it to get good reputation in the community, and not because he feared the Lord, and that's what the Lord wanted for Job. 18.
Which leads to the exact problem that happens when you do that. You become prideful. So he says that so that he may turn a person away from bad conduct and keep a man from pride. So in a sense, he's telling Job straight up what has happened here.
Yes. He keeps his soul back from the pit and his life from perishing by the spear. A person is also rebuked by pain in his bed and with constant complaint in his bones, so that his life loathes bread, and his soul food that he should crave. His flesh wastes away from sight, and his bones which were not seen stick out. Then his soul comes near to the pit, and his life to those who bring death. If there is an interceding angel for him, 1 out of 1,000, to remind a person of what is right for him, and he is gracious to him, and says, "Free him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom." Let his flesh become fleshier than in youth. Let him return to the days of his youthful vigor. Then he will pray to God, and he will accept him, so that he may see his face with joy, and he will restore his righteousness to that person. He will sing to people and say, "I have sinned and perverted what is right." And this is interesting, verse 27. I have perverted what is right. So I have taken what is right and I have done it, but inappropriately.
Right.
28. He has redeemed my soul from going to the pit, and my life will see the light. Behold, God does all these things for a man 2 or 3 times, to bring back his soul from the pit, so that he may be enlightened with the light of life. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Keep silent and let me speak. Then, if you have anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I would take pleasure in justifying you. If not, listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Ooh. And this is coming from a young whippersnapper.
And this behavior, this attitude, shows how obvious it was to him how these responses of Job were out of line. Like, he's mad, and he's like, keep silent, and you will become wise if you listen to what I have to say. So this is the old way of saying, I'm very mad at you, shut up and listen. So it is ancient Hebrew. They were kind back then.
All to return to those days.
Let's go.
All right. Let me drop this comment. Okay, made
Let-
it a little
Which
bigger.
I didn't touch, by the way. Well, wait a minute. I just got this one. So you see how there is an issue here, Robin. If you consider yourself a moral person by your own standards, it is what we call subjective morality. Because by my standards, you might not be moral. And you can say, okay, that's fair. Yeah, but are you moral? Who is right, you or I? Because let's say in my morality, it's fine to hurt children. It's fine. We do it all the time in my village. For you, that might be moral, but it's not to me. So who is right? That is the issue. And if you arrive to the fact that there has been a creator, then your next step is to understand which creator that is. And once you find that out, you read what he wants you to do, and it's the morality is there. So we have a standard, and we can say, God said, that's a standard. So if I go against that standard, you can be the one refuting me for being immoral according to a common code of conduct.
I mean, here, here's the problem with going off of our own moral code and not an objectified moral standard. Okay, so when the British and federal governments started taking over what we now know as the United States and slaughtering Native Americans, to them, that was culturally okay. That was culturally, morally right. It was manifest destiny. So we can't look down on the British or the federal government for doing it because they deemed it moral. As their own community, it was moral. Now we can look back and say genocide is bad. So, even community moral standards change. You have to have a set standard that's never changing. And luckily, we serve the never changing God. So he establishes what is morally right and what is morally wrong. And no matter how culture swings or adjusts over time, we can still point to God's perfect truth and say, this is never going to change. This will always be right. This will always be wrong.
And to add more to this, when I was in the US, I had a great American history professor who taught me the good side and the bad side of the US. So the term manifest destiny, I never heard it about the Brits. I heard it about Americans. And he was showing us paintings of every single war of American expansion. So if you look at all the paintings, any painting that you can find, you will find the sun always being on the side of the American troops. So when they were fighting Mexico and there is this battle, somebody painted it on a painting, the sun is always on the side of Americans. And that is because they believed in manifest destiny, that God is always with us. And here's why I'm bringing that up. As Stephen said, morality changes from culture to culture. So now it is another country that thought that they are doing good. But if you look at it from the Native American perspective, they were not. Or wherever you want to go in the world, culture cannot determine what's moral. So where do you base your morality? Upon yourself? So are you sure you're not influenced by something else? If you're not influenced by your culture, are you sure it's you there? Even if you are, that is again subjective. So yeah, sorry for that rabbit hole. I just felt like quickly responding. But I've seen so many other comments. OMG, you
Well,
guys are going on in there.
I
Chris,
mean,
take care of
we
the chat.
we could stop here and save 34 for next time, and then just open up the panel if anybody wants to come ask us questions.
Right, let me see. Okay, it's pretty long. All right, I agree.
I just don't want to rush it too much because we just took in a lot. So the panel's open. I have the invite pinned in the chat, but I just reposted it. You guys can come on and ask us questions about the Bible. We'll answer them for you, and hopefully help you leave the conversation a little less offended by truth. It's not, Robin, that you don't have a way to determine what's right from wrong. It's that I think I demonstrated with the British government and the federal government that type of subjective right and wrong that we would get from ourselves or from our communities. One, they're not long lasting. Sometimes we find out in hindsight that they're morally repulsive, and we have to have an objective standard of morally right and wrong. We just have to. We're incapable of governing ourselves. The Aztec Indians thought that it was fine to capture other natives and sacrifice them. To them, that was morally right.
I'm sorry. I'm just needing a minute. Okay, I can't find it immediately. Maybe she wasn't Hindu. That's why. Let me see. Okay, so no, I can't find it as easily as it popped up to my face at some point in my life. But Muslims and Hindus have this tradition where the parents decide who you're going to marry, and you get no say at all. And in most of the cases, the child is a child, it's underage. I think it's in Muslims that it's happening. And the man is an old man. So I saw a video where there was this girl. My memory may be failing me, but I remember it was a Hindu household, but it could be a Muslim household. So they put an old man next to that girl. The girl was 14, and she was wearing a veil. So they pulled out the veil from her eyes, and she saw her husband that would be 60 years older than her. And the girl saw him and fainted immediately. Now, I understand that for you, Robin, that might be immoral, but it's not for them.
And if I can point out, because she's bringing up good points, and she's talking about different faiths, and I'm not sure if she's aware of this, but these are other religions that recognize Jesus. So in Islam, they see him as a prophet. In Baha'i faith, they recognize Jesus as a series of divine messengers. Hinduism, they view Jesus as a sadhu, a holy man. Buddhism, they see him as a prophet. In the Druze religion, they believe Jesus was a prominent prophet. In Manichaeism, Jesus is considered one of the main prophets. In Mandeism, he's seen as a ruler of a level of purgatory, so he's got this elevated status. In Yazidism, they view Jesus as a prophet. So all these religions view Jesus as this high enlightened figure. They all point to Jesus. But then when you come to Jesus in the Bible, he points to himself as the answer. So if all these religions can agree that Jesus was something very fabulous and great and something to take into consideration, and then when you come to Jesus, he tells you that he is the way, the truth, and the life, why not believe him? Like, I don't understand. He's obviously the moral compass, because all these other religions that don't agree on anything agree that he is something to look at.
Very good point. Jumping to the next. I like you, Robin, but I cannot know if you are immoral or not. And even if I did, that would be my subjective morality. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm trying to get through to you. What I said so far is to point out that we cannot base morality on some individual's opinion. If I say you are or you are not, that's still my subjective opinion. Now, if we ask, are you immoral according to the Bible? I will tell you, everybody is. I am too. Stephen is too. Missing Mod is too. We all are. That's why we need that sacrifice. It was a repetition of the ritual that the children of God, the nation of God, the Jews, were instructed by God to do to wash their sins away. God did it himself for all mankind because we are all immoral to the eyes of the most moral, the essence of morality out there. We can never live up to it. But we have this mentality that we're going to walk into heaven with our deeds. And that's what all other religions are pushing. That you have to be good, you have to be this, you have to be that. That is not Christianity.
No, it's not. And it's dangerous because we take those examples, with the eradication of Native Americans, and then you look at the way the South justified slavery during those bad times. You look at, ancient cultures where they sacrificed people. You look in other modern cultures where they marry off 9-year-olds. They all consider their actions to be moral. So we can't base societies off of subjective morality. We can't go off of what we think makes us good people. It will fail every time. And who are we to shame anyone else around the world when they marry off these 10-year-olds? Because that's their subjective morality. That is okay in their culture. Their community standards have set that as appropriate. That's why you need God. You need an objective reality. You need a moral standard that's not changing. And that's why we can point and say, are we moral in God's standards? And the answer is almost always, if not always, no, we're not. And that's why we need Jesus.
And the book of Job is teaching us that there is no almost. Even Job was not fully righteous. It is part of our human nature. We are not. That's why we need Jesus' righteousness.
Amen.
And there are so many people waking up in Hindu circles, China, the Muslim world. There are so many people waking up to Christianity these days, this past decade. And their persecution is unheard of. And we see this paradox where in the US, where you are free to, and in Greece, to have any other opinion, and Christianity is not being persecuted the way it is in the Muslim world or in China, we see people rebelling by themselves to it. It is a paradox. Like,
Amen.
Although in Greece, people call themselves Christians, they're not acting like they know the gospel. Like if you go out, I've heard pastors talk about Greece, and they're saying exactly that. That the gospel is not being taught around here, but they call themselves Christians. And I was watching James White yesterday. Um, I don't. Yeah, yeah. Somebody told him, why don't you go to preach to atheists and you preach to Catholics? And he said, because it's much much easier to preach to atheists because they don't consider themselves saved. So you
Mm,
have to talk to them about salvation. What's hard is to talk to the people that they think they are saved and they are far from it.
mm. Yeah, that's so accurate. And that's why we take on Catholicism and Orthodoxy and Mormonism, and that's why we've taken off the license to sin and we go after that slope agape, you can live like a demon and still go to heaven nonsense. Like, we've taken a stand against these different false teachings because we care about the ones who are already professing to be Christian. Now we just got to get them to actually act Christ-like. And there's many versions of Jesus out there that don't save. You need
Right.
the knowledge of the saving Jesus.
Uh, Otherwise, his sacrifice was not needed. And if you
Amen.
ask, I've heard an Orthodox priest who is like super famous these days. He's on YouTube and he just rants about politics, trying to bring Christianity in, although he doesn't get the gospel. He's a priest, and I'm saying it. He doesn't get the gospel. Um, he got asked on an interview, um, why did Jesus die for us if it was a discussion about works? And he said, if we need to do all these things, then why Jesus died for us? And he said, oh yeah, that thing that he died for our sins, it's an American brought in message. It's not the true Bible. The truth is that Jesus just died for us because he loved us. That's it. It was like uh, a self-sacrificial thing because I love you. I was like,
And see, nothing would show Krista more that I love her than if I was to just walk in that room and paint the ceiling right in front of her. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
what kind of bizarre love is that?
And
That's
that
so
came from,
nasty.
and it came from a priest's mouth. So
I mean,
we
that
are
doesn't surprise me. Often the most heretical things you hear right from a priest.
even the essence of being one by
Yeah, yeah.
default. So that's why we are uh, compelled to be attacking these false doctrines. The way is very narrow, and they're trying to make it wider and be like, yeah, whatever, be whoever you want to be, and then when you die, you're gonna go through steps of purification, which started with the Catholic Church, but now the Orthodox are also talking about it. So it's good. You can be an ass. It's okay. You're gonna be purified in steps in, what was that name in English? Purgatory. Purgatory. Right. So Greece has its own version. Orthodoxy has its own version of purgatory. Just letting you know, in case you didn't.
Can you still buy your way out of it?
No.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. If you
Yeah.
have to have purgatory, at least you can know that your family can buy you out of it.
Yeah. No. They also consider this like the Catholic heresy, and that's why we don't talk with the Catholics because they say that. But
Yeah,
even the
buying
essence,
indulgences.
yeah, even the essence of a purgatory is heresy. So
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, and even the way they did some of the Crusades, where they enlisted these men often these men were murderers and they were on the run, and they would tell you, "Oh, we will forgive you of this sin. The church will give you a pardon for this murder if you go battle it out." I mean, you can't buy grace. It's not for sale. The Catholics have made grace so cheap and so nasty.
Amen.
Well, brother, I'm about ready to wrap this up if you have nothing else to share.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't come in, I have a couple of dogs to feed, 3.
And I'm going to go
So,
wrestle with Bobby Boy.
oh man, we've had a discussion today on missing mods. So right after this discussion with this dude, um, he started getting into why spanking your child is evil and immoral. And I was trying to get through to him that there's a difference between beating and spanking. And if my dad didn't spank me, I would be in jail right now.
Yep.
And I even brought up an example that I'm not sure I've ever told you this story, bro. I ever told you that I almost put a village on fire when I was a kid?
No. But that sounds like stuff I did in my childhood. I needed all the spankings I got.
Right? I mean, what is this with this woke century that we're in right now? I mean, what's going on, man?
Well,
I
if you
still,
don't spank your children or discipline them in some way, you're not instilling a right and wrong in them for them to respect. And that's why we have such issues with these mentally ill people walking around and not even being able to identify what gender they are, because we have not raised them with a mindset of right and wrong or what's normal and what's not normal.
I agree. It just hit me that this guy was actually saying that instead of hitting your child, if he does something that is actually illegal, call the cops on him. I was
What?
like, are you kidding me?
Oh, so ruin his future, but don't tan his butt. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That was like sums up his point.
So don't punish your own child that you are responsible to raise. Let the government do it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I trust my government enough to let them raise my child.
Go spank Bobby, brother.
Yeah, man. All right.
Uh,
Well, we love you guys. We're glad you came to hang out. It means a lot to us that even some of our atheist friends come and watch these Book of Jobs. And it's just mine and Achilles' prayer and all of Proverbs, guys, that it touches you, that it ministers to your life, and hopefully it just is answering some questions and misconceptions you've had about God as we go through these studies. And that's what I hope for.
Amen. God bless everyone. Robin, I don't know what happened. I wasn't following the chat. I don't know what you don't think is funny. And you're like it was nice talking to you all. But we love you too. If you have any issue, come in here. Let us know about it. Let's talk about it. So
And don't forget the most important thing. This one thing is simple, but it will change your life. And it's just that you have got to